Rachel Hull for NESN.com alongside Doug Kyde and Zach Cox. We're here at Gillette Stadium for opening night, and man, is it already exciting in here.
It is. It's out in here, outside, everywhere.
Yeah, it's been a madhouse today. I got here at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was already crowded. I mean, it's more media than maybe I've ever seen at a game at Gillette Stadium, even more so than some of these AFC Championship games. So it's an electric atmosphere tonight already, and we're still, what, 3 hours, 2 hours to kick off?
We left around 2 p.m., and there was already a ton of traffic. So if you didn't get in your car yet, I would just stay at home if I were you. And
probably a good idea.
Unfortunately, probably true. Yeah.
They did a little opening pregame ceremony, a trial run, if you will, practice out here, and it's going to be a fun one to watch. Right in front of us, behind you, is the banner that they're going to unveil. Yep. And that's not the only thing going on today. A big storyline, of course, is these clown towels. Now, across the way, yep, you guys have them. Let's see them. Yep. Across the way, Barstool Sports handing out these clown towels. It's not just any clown, as you can see. It's Roger Goodell. Now, there are 60,000 of these in circulation, I believe.
70,000.
70,000. Okay, I was mistaken. Even more than I initially thought. It's going to be crazy in here.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how many of them actually make their way into the stadium tonight. Because the way they did it, they handed them out to the Barstool folks. That is, they handed them out to some volunteers last night, and then it was on them to kind of distribute them to the other fans they saw in the parking lot. But just from walking around, there are a lot of these towels. There are a lot of the clown nose T-shirts that, of course, Matt Patricia kind of made famous last year after the Super Bowl. So, yeah, it's going to be a very anti-Goodell sentiment here. And we're not really sure if we're actually going to see him tonight. He will be here, but from the sounds of it, he's going to be kind of hidden from the general public for most of the game.
And yeah, Barstool also has a big, what's it called?
RV,
there we go. I was thinking SUV. My mind is just blank right now.
You're excited.
Across the street at Rodman Ford, so they're handing them out as well. So yeah, it will be interesting to see how many of them wind up in here and how many people will be, shaking them around and everything. It'll be fun.
Well, we saw some fans tailgating. Not only did they have the towel and the T-shirt that you mentioned, but they also had on a clown wig, clown noses. They're getting into this.
Oh,
and
wow.
Of course, as you mentioned,
I'm not
Zach,
sure if I like that. I'm not a big clown guy.
Oh, there's a lot of clowns running around. If you're scared of clowns and the movie coming out, then don't bother.
It's been a rough couple weeks for me. I'm not a clown guy.
I'm sorry. We'll try to hide you from the 70,000 fans that will be torturing you all night. Yeah. Now, the reason that this is such a big deal, as you mentioned, is because Roger Goodell is expected to be here at Gillette Stadium. Now, what are you hearing as far as how much we'll see him, really, and will he be on the Jumbotron? Will we hear those fans react to him being in the building?
It sounds like not, according to reports. It sounds like Goodell got everything that he was going to do pre-game on the field before fans filtered in here. Patriots apparently don't plan on showing him on the video board. We'll see if that actually happens. So the chants, the boos, everything might just kind of have to be a little bit more sporadic than planned out. But Goodell will certainly feel the non-love, the hate from fans with these towels. I'm sure there will be a "Where is Roger" chant, and yeah, we'll see how it all goes down, but should be pretty loud in here if he does somehow get shown.
Yeah, I think if they don't show him, the chants are just going to be louder and longer.
It's going to be worse.
Yeah, at every kind of lull in the game, at every stoppage, you're going to hear the Roger or the "Where is Roger" or any of those. I'm sure they'll show him on the TV broadcast. I think I was saying that NBC said they're going to cover this game like they would cover any other game. So even if he's not shown in the in-house television, people are going to know where he is, and they're definitely going to let him hear it.
It's a little strange that they're not going to show him on the video board.
I think so.
It's kind of if it's Goodell's decision, kind of a weak move by Goodell. If it's a Patriots decision, kind of a weak move by the Patriots. I mean, give the fans what they want out here. They want to boo Roger. Just flash them up there for a second. Let them all get it out of their system early in this
I was
game.
saying this on our podcast the other day. If I was Roger Goodell, I would want to get shown on the Jumbotron.
Just get it out of the way.
The first drive, stand up and give some Vince McMahon. Just do a little taunting.
Maybe
to the
hold
crowd.
up a towel, like
I
rip it in
did
half.
hear that rumor. That was a rumor going around that he was going to be wearing one of the T-shirts. That would be funny.
It would be fantastic. See,
awesome.
I think he should just own this. I mean, it's been going on for so long. I'm sure he wants it to be over as much as everybody else. And just with him kind of continuing to duck and hide from all these Patriots fans, it just prolongs it. Just own it in the moment, make a good time out of it, and then move on.
But in his defense, he is a brave man for being here because Deflategate is still very fresh in the minds of many Patriots fans.
Absolutely.
Now, as far as the storylines, that's not the only one going on here. We got some breaking news earlier today. Malcolm Mitchell on the IR.
Surprising news.
Very surprising, especially, I mean, I guess this kind of partially helps explain why the Patriots were so intent on trading for Philip Dorsett, moved Jacoby Brissett to the Colts for Dorsett. So Dorsett's now the number 4 wide receiver. That puts a lot of pressure on him to get caught up very quickly in this offense, which is not an easy thing to do. We talked to Dorsett this week, though. He said that he's confident that he can pick up this offense, which is really the right approach to take when you have to pick up such a daunting task in such a short amount of time. So we'll be interested to see how much we see of him on the field, but really this puts a lot more pressure on Brandin Cooks, on Danny Amendola, and Chris Hogan to up their roles this season, because Julian Edelman's not in this offense. Cooks and Hogan will really have to get a ton of targets this season, and we'll see how they step up. I have a lot of confidence in both of them. I think that Hogan could potentially be the leader in receptions by the end of the season. I think that he will mostly take on that slot role, but a lot on Danny Amendola's plate as well, and I think that means that, I don't know, I don't want to see him in punt returns. If he's going to be the number 3 receiver, you can't really risk him there on those punt returns this season. That's
what I was just going to say. This is going to have a trickle-down effect beyond just the wide receiving core. We talked a ton about Patriots punt returner over this past week after Julian Edelman got hurt, Cyrus Jones got hurt. Both of them are done for the season. Who is going to fill that spot? It seems like Danny Amendola is the best decision, but even before this, I think people were a little bit wary about putting a guy with injury history like that. He got hurt on punt returns each of the last 2 seasons. Yeah. Putting that guy out as your number 1 punt returner. And now, with the wide receiver depth even thinner, that gets dicey. I mean, if Danny Amendola gets hurt, this receiving core is really, really struggling.
Now, I know this is a developing story, but is there any word on how long Mitchell will be out for?
At least 8 weeks.
Okay,
so
that's a long time.
That's the IR rules. When you're placed on IR, you need to miss at least 8 games. Then the team can choose to bring back 2 players each year, or up to 2 players each year from IR. Patriots have a bye in week 9, so week 10 is the earliest that we would see Malcolm Mitchell this season.
And that is the earliest. I mean, it's possible. We don't really know what the situation here is. Maybe they found something they didn't like on an MRI or something. It's kind of a situation that we're monitoring. I think everyone's kind of assuming that he will come back after those 8 weeks, but we'll really kind of have to wait and see. And one other thing on this situation is, kind of makes you question why the Patriots didn't keep either Austin Carr or Devin Lucien. Both of those guys had some decent moments during the summer and training camp. Patriots fans were extremely high on both of them, perhaps a little bit too high, but now I'm kind of on their side on this one. They probably should have kept at least one of those guys around, because when Danny Amendola is your number 3 receiver, he's had a lot of injury history, or a lot of injury problems in the past. I think it would be smart to have kept around a 5th guy, but we'll just kind of have to see how that works out.
And now Austin Carr is in New Orleans with the Saints, and Devin Lucien, he has that injury settlement. So what is it, 3 weeks at least?
Can't come back for 3 weeks, the source told me today. So
and another team could choose to pick him up in that time, right?
And if you were him, then I think it would make sense to join another team, because you don't want to be jobless for 3 weeks in the NFL. Anything can happen at that point.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So we already mentioned the big storylines, and it seems like the big one that you guys are telling me, wide receivers. Who are you looking at specifically in this game?
Well, one guy is certainly Brandin Cooks. I think that you're on board with that one, just because we didn't really see him that much in the preseason.
We want to see that chemistry.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we're waiting for. We saw it in training camp a lot between Tom Brady and Brandin Cooks, but we haven't really seen it in a game situation. What do you have, 2 targets during the preseason?
I think so, yeah. He was a guy that was healthy all preseason. He wasn't one of those players that was kind of banged up, so they were limiting him. He was playing. We just didn't see a whole lot of him. I think the Patriots were definitely kind of keeping that on the back burner. They didn't want to show what kind of how he's going to be used in this offense. They certainly didn't want to show their whole hand game plan wise. So yeah, we haven't seen much of him so far, and I'm very intrigued to see how they use him tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, even his role is kind of up in the air now with Mitchell's injury. I know that maybe we weren't expecting to see a lot of Malcolm Mitchell early in the season anyway, but there's 3 basic roles in the Patriots offense: the X, the Z, and the slot. And when Amendola is on the field, I think he's going to be playing the slot. So I guess that means that Hogan might be playing that X receiver role, and Brandin Cooks will be playing the Z receiver role, which is the one that Deion Branch used to have. It's the one that Julian Edelman had when Danny Amendola was on the field with him. So kind of see how that all shakes out, but certainly interesting to watch how the Patriots manage the wide receiver reps early in the season, because those 3 guys that we keep talking about will have to play a ton.
Absolutely.
Okay, aside from the receivers, any other position that you're going to be keeping your eye closely on tonight?
I'm just interested to see what the defense actually looks like, the starting defense, because we have not seen it at all in this preseason. Dante Hightower has yet to play in an actual game. He sat out the entire preseason, all 4 games there.
We never even saw him practice.
We never even saw him practice. That's true. So yeah, because he was injured during the portions that were open to the media. So the sentiment, the general sentiment, is that people are expecting him to move to the edge now, to play basically the role that Harvey Longy played throughout the preseason, which is obviously different than the middle linebacker role he's played for most of his career. I think he can do it. I think most people think he can do it. He is the Patriots' best pass rusher. We just haven't seen how that whole defense is going to be constructed. And then off that, the sub packages and how everything kind of filters down, we really haven't seen what it looks like yet. So I'm interested to see how that shakes out.
Yeah, and it's something that ESPN's Mike Reese brought up in a column today, which I thought was kind of interesting. The Patriots might even have to manage his snaps in this game, as well as Nate Solder's, because both those guys did not play in the preseason. So they probably aren't ready to play 70 snaps in a game just yet. So we might only see those guys on the field for 35, 40 snaps, and then you're kind of filling in the pieces with either a Harvey Longy on defense or Adrian Waddle on offense. One other thing with the Patriots pass rush is that we saw Adam Butler, who was a rookie standout in the summer for the Patriots, working out in front of trainers and doctors before the game. That means that he's a game time decision. So if he can't play, then that kind of further decreases the Patriots pass rush there. He told me this week that he's fine, that he just kind of tweaked the knee, that he felt fine at practice on Tuesday. We'll see if the trainers and doctors agree with that, because obviously he's a rookie, made the 53-man roster as an undrafted free agent. He's going to want to be out here, but the team's going to want to do what's best for him, best for the team. So we'll just kind of have to see if he's out in the field today.
Well, going off that tweak knee, let's talk about the overall health of the Patriots. Of course, Edelman, a huge loss for the team. Now this Malcolm Mitchell news coming out. What do you think about overall? How are they looking? Any concerns?
Right now, out of the players on the 53-man roster, excluding Mitchell, the only one that looks like he is not going to play for sure is Vincent Valentine, the defensive tackle. He's listed as doubtful, so there's a chance he could play, but he hasn't practiced since last week. He really doesn't seem like he'll be ready to play in this game, which if him and Butler both can play, that really kind of saps the depth on the interior defensive line. They're two very different players, but they do play the same position a lot of the time. Other than that, they're looking pretty healthy. There are a couple other guys who are...
Sounds like Matthew Slater might not play tonight. I think it was Jeff Howard reported that he was working out on the practice field, which is usually a sign that you won't see him. He's another guy who didn't play in the preseason, I believe, correct?
I don't think he did, no. He didn't even practice for most of the preseason.
Yeah, so Matthew Slater, not seen during the preseason, might not be out here, so that might be why they acquired a guy like Johnson Batamosi. Some other guys there on the injury report might not see Cameron Fleming in this game, who's the backup left tackle. Nate Ebner was on the injury report. Harvey Longy with a concussion was on the injury report. So, yeah, I mean, they're starting the season. They might be a little bit shallow at some key positions, but overall, the fact that the only key guy that they've lost for the entire season, or two key guys, are Julian Edelman and Cyrus Jones, it's decent for this summer. It's unfortunate, and we won't see the full potential that this team had when it was built during the offseason, but for the most part, they're doing okay here.
And not only that, you have players like Gronk, who dealt with injuries last season. He looks back. Really healthy, and he's back.
Yeah, so he's been 100% full go since the very first day of spring practices. So, yeah, he seems to be 100%. Obviously, they didn't have him at the end of last season. Didn't really miss a beat with Martellus Bennett in there. Now you've got Rob Gronkowski back in that starting spot. Dwayne Allen's looked pretty good as well in that backup role. We probably won't even see much of Jacob Hollister, a guy who we talked about a ton. That's a funny thing about the transition. The transition between the preseason and the regular season. These guys that we really talk about a lot for the last 3 weeks.
Heard a lot about the Hollisters.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about Gronk because he's on the team. Everybody knows. Now we talk about these bottom of the roster guys for so long, and then regular season, we're probably not going to see him all that much.
Yeah, probably will be inactive. He'll be lucky to get like 4 catches all season. But fun to watch him during training camp and preseason.
Hey, he's on the team.
Yeah, he's on the team.
All right then. Well, we hope this year brings a healthy Gronk, and of course he's on that Tom Brady diet now, so we'll see what that means for him. It can only mean good things as far as I'm concerned.
Meaner Gronk.
Uh-oh, watch out, world. Now, they are the defending Super Bowl champions. We were in the tailgate area before, and a lot of fans were telling us, we were asking about their predictions for this season. 16-0, and they didn't want to jinx it, but there are a lot of people saying they're going to go undefeated. Now, of course, this is a new season. What are the biggest question marks heading into week 1 for you guys?
It really is, I guess, at some of those positions that we just talked about. The pass rush, we don't really know how that's going to work itself out at this point. We know that Trey Flowers will be in there. He'll be perhaps one of the biggest breakout stars in the NFL this year, if he can continue what he did in the second half of last year. But there's just a lot of indecision. There are a lot of question marks other than Flowers. Will Hightower be an edge rusher? What can Dietrich Wise do as a rookie? What can Harvey Longy do as a rookie? Will Kyle Van Noy take on a bigger role there? So that's probably my biggest question mark entering the season. I guess another one would just be at the offensive line, but what are you thinking there?
A question mark for me, not in that I think it could be negative, but just in that I don't know what they're going to do with it, is the running backs.
Yeah.
Because they have 4 talented running backs, basically 4 almost starting caliber running backs in Deion Lewis, James White, Rex Burkhead, Mike Gillislee. We could see the kind of touch distribution, catch distribution, carry distribution change by even the half. I mean, we were talking about earlier how you could theoretically come into games this year, see Mike Gillislee get a really heavy workload in the first half, and then have them not use him at all in the second half and go strictly with Dion Lewis or James White or Burkhead or anybody.
It's a fantasy nightmare.
It is a fantasy nightmare.
They're not a fun team.
For someone who accidentally drafted James White, Rex Burkhead, and Mike Gillislee on one of my fantasy teams, not exactly sure how that's going to go for me. So don't ask.
I hope I'm playing you.
I can predict that every week you'll pick the wrong running back.
That's
usually how it works.
I think I'm going to have to cut most of them, cut 2 of them just to even my odds out a little bit. But
ease your mind.
Yeah. So even going into this game, I'm not sure. If I had to guess, I would say probably Gillislee kind of gets the start as like the early down running back. But also, again, he was a guy we didn't see much of in the preseason. He says he's fully healthy now. He did play in the 3rd preseason game, but there's a chance he still could be kind of working himself back to full strength after being injured for most of the offseason. So it's a tough thing to predict going into each week, which I'm sure is exactly how the Patriots want it.
Oh, absolutely.
Let's talk about the Kansas City Chiefs that they're going up against now. How do you think the Pats stack up, and namely, how are they going to contain Tyreek Hill and Travis KELCE, 2 powerhouses, able to do a lot of damage potentially?
We might start to see the Patriots' top cornerbacks tested early in this game, because I think that Malcolm Butler is the guy who's going to be taking on Tyreek Hill. He's got the size, the quickness, the speed to take on a guy like that. Might need some help over the top from a Devin McCourty or Daron Harmon, but I think that's a good matchup for Butler. KELCE's an interesting one. Could see Patrick Chung against him. Could see Stephon Gilmore up against Travis KELCE, because I'm not sure if Chris Conley really warrants the Gilmore matchup out there at wide receiver. So we could start to see Gilmore tested early against a tight end if the Patriots choose to do that. If not, I think that Patrick Chung could probably handle him with some help there. But I think this will be a very early test for Malcolm Butler, who did struggle during the preseason. Put up 2 touchdowns, led up some big plays. So Tyreek Hill's going to be a tough matchup for him.
He definitely adds Tyreek Hill adds a whole new dimension to this Chiefs offense. Going back basically for the entirety of the Andy Reid, Alex Smith era, they're a team that relies on their tight ends and their running backs. Their wide receivers are almost afterthoughts. I believe it was 2015, 2014, they didn't have a single touchdown pass to a wide receiver all year. Now Tyreek Hill, he's not your standard kind of prototypical wide receiver, but he is their number 1 receiver now that Jerry Maclin is gone, and he's a guy that they can use in just so many different ways. And being that since this is a game that Andy Reid's been able to game plan for 4 or 5 months now, I expect to see some serious trickeration with Tyreek Hill. But if you rely too much on him, if you zero in on Tyreek Hill too much, then they got Not Brandin KELCE.
Got the music going on. It's hard to focus now.
Travis KELCE running up the seam, and he's one of probably the 2nd or 3rd best tight end in the entire league. So it's a dangerous offense. Obviously, Alex Smith isn't on Tom Brady's level by any means, but he does well with what he does in Andy Reid's offense. So I think the Chiefs might even be a little bit underrated coming into this game. They're a team that finished 2nd in the AFC last year. Basically brought back everybody of consequence. Their defense is healthy. Their offense still has weapons. I think it's going to be a tough test.
The Patriots are 8.5-point favorites, I believe, maybe 9-point favorites in this one. 9-point favorites. Any reason?
Go to mybookie.ag to check.
Hey, what a plug.
I know.
Any reason to think that they could potentially lose this one?
Not really. I think the Patriots are going to win by double digits in this game, just because, everything that's going on, the banner raising, Goodell's here. They're not exactly going to want to lose this one. I think that Tom Brady will be at his best out here. But, like you were saying, the Chiefs can be pretty dangerous. One really good thing about Alex Smith, if you're a Chiefs fan, is that he doesn't turn over the ball very often. So this might not be a game where you see, Dante Hightower with a strip sack or Stephon Gilmore with an interception. Really doesn't give the ball away too often. So Patriots will have to limit the big plays. I think that's going to be a key, especially when you're taking on Tyreek Hill. As long as they can do that, I think their offense can keep up against the Chiefs.
I agree. As I was just talking up the Chiefs, I still think that this is a game that the Patriots can and should win relatively easily. If I had to predict, it'll be one of those situations where it's kind of close in the first half, maybe the first 3 quarters, then they kind of bust it open in the 4th. I'm predicting a 12 to 14-point win for the Patriots.
Well, we still have over 2 hours to go until game time, and I'm getting fired up, so I can only imagine how the players are going to feel, especially when that banner is unveiled.
It's kind of amazing how long we've been waiting for this season to start.
I know, and now it's finally here.
2 hours is better than 6 months or 7 months or whatever
it was finally here
when we first started talking about this 2017 Patriots team. So at least the game is today.
And you guys should have seen that tailgate. I don't know if you did. Around 3 p.m. I think is when we finally got in. There were many fans already cooking, already drinking, already in their clown suits, as I said. Sorry, Zach. So
lubed up as Tom Brady.
They are very excited to be
Start
here.
drinking early, Tom Brady.
Water, of course.
They still have 2 more hours to go. So we mentioned those fantasy football owners, the poor people that own players on the Patriots. Now, can we try to help them out? Who are some Patriot players that you're expecting to have a big game here tonight?
Give me sorry, go. I think we're going to say the same person, so you can go ahead.
You should try it. 1, 2, 3.
Chris Hogan.
There we go. I'm expecting big things out of Hogan all season. I think that he will get a lot of passes. I think they could create some big plays. So I'm starting him in both of my fantasy leagues today, and that's over guys like Demaryius Thomas against over Allen Robinson, maybe even over Alshon Jeffrey. So I'm putting my money where my mouth is on this one. So if you have Hogan, start him.
And for what it's worth, I am starting Mike Gillislee out of that trio of Patriots running backs. So I'm not particularly good at fantasy for someone someone who covers football for a living. I'm surprisingly bad at fantasy football, but that's my 2 cents.
I'm really good at finishing third, which does me no good.
That's better than most. Hey, if you put those people in and you lose, make sure to reach out to them on Twitter and yell at them at Doug Kide and at Zach Cox Nesson. Okay.
Zach will Venmo you whatever money you want.
I'll get producer Mark on that.
All right, producer, we got a nod and a thumbs up, so that's happening. All right, that will do it for this show. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you keep it on Nesson.com all night long for all your Patriots news.